Have you ever heard of Madagascar? Beyond the animated movie, I mean. This massive island nation off the coast of Africa is a biodiversity hotspot, home to unique animals like lemurs. But recently, it's been the center of a dramatic political upheaval that's sending ripples across the international stage, particularly for France. This story involves mass protests, a president on the run, and a surprising twist involving the military. Stick with me because what happened in Madagascar is a fascinating case study of people power and shifting geopolitical tides. So what exactly went down? In late September, things kicked off in Madagascar. It all started with something many of us take for granted: access to clean water and reliable electricity. Protests erupted on September 25th because of severe shortages. People were fed up. But these initial frustrations quickly ballooned into something much larger. The protests morphed into a massive popular uprising against what many saw as widespread government corruption and crushing poverty. It wasn't just about the lights being out anymore, it was about a fundamental demand for a better future. The man at the center of this storm was President Andry Rajoelina. His name might sound familiar to those who follow African politics. He originally came to power in a 2009 coup d'etat, a controversial start to his political career. Despite later winning elections, his government struggled to address the deep-seated economic issues plaguing the nation. As the recent protests grew, it became clear that his grip on power was slipping, and fast. The anger on the streets was palpable, and the calls for his resignation grew louder each day. Here's where things get really interesting. In any political crisis, the loyalty of the security forces is the ultimate deciding factor. For a while, it was a standoff, but then the tide turned decisively. Key elements of the military, including the elite CAPSAT unit and parts of the National Gendarmerie, made a stunning move. They sided with the protesters. Imagine that. The very forces meant to protect the government were now standing with the people demanding its removal. This was the tipping point. With the army no longer on his side, President Rajoelina's position became completely untenable. The game was up. Facing this reality, Rajoelina had to make a choice. With the capital in the hands of the protesters and his own military turning against him, staying was not an option. He had to get out. According to reports from major news outlets like Reuters, his escape was a multi-stage affair. First, he was flown by helicopter from the capital to St. Marie Island, a smaller island just off Madagascar's east coast. It was a discreet, quick move to get him out of the immediate danger zone. From there, his journey was far from over. The next leg of his escape involved boarding a plane to Réunion, which is a French overseas department in the Indian Ocean. This is a crucial detail because it shows the direct involvement of another country in this internal crisis. After a brief stop in Réunion, it's reported that he and his family continued on, possibly heading to Mauritius or the United Arab Emirates. It was a swift and dramatic exit for a leader who, just weeks earlier, was the most powerful man in the country. His departure marked the end of an era and the beginning of a very uncertain new chapter for Madagascar. So, how did France get involved? This is where the international dimension of the story really comes into focus. French President Emmanuel Macron personally authorized the evacuation of President Rajoelina. A French military aircraft was used to facilitate his departure from the region. The official reason given was to ensure a peaceful transition of power. Essentially, the argument is that by helping Rajoelina leave, France helped prevent a potentially violent and chaotic power vacuum or even a civil conflict. It's a move aimed at stabilization, but it's also one that's fraught with political complexity. This isn't just a simple act of humanitarian assistance. For France, this event is another significant moment in its complicated relationship with its former African colonies. In recent years, we've seen a wave of anti-French sentiment and political shifts across the Sahel region, in countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. In those places, French influence and military presence have been rejected, often in favor of new partners like Russia. The events in Madagascar, while different in context, are being viewed by many analysts through this same lens. It is seen as another instance where France's traditional influence is being challenged and is visibly waning. The term France-Afrique, which describes France's network of informal political and economic influence in Africa, is often invoked in these situations. For decades, Paris was able to prop up or remove African leaders at will. But that era seems to be coming to an end. The evacuation of Rajoelina, while framed as a move for peace, can also be interpreted as France managing a retreat. It is an acknowledgement that they could no longer guarantee the stability of their ally, AS government. For President Macron, it's another difficult chapter in his attempt to redefine France's role on the continent. What's truly remarkable about this story is the power of the people, especially the younger generation. Reports have highlighted that these were largely youth-led, Gen Z-driven protests. This is a generation connected by social media, less tolerant of the old ways of doing politics, and more demanding of transparency and results. They saw a future being stolen by corruption and mismanagement, and they took to the streets to demand change. Their ability to mobilize and, crucially, to win over the military demonstrates a powerful new dynamic in politics, not just in Africa, but around the world. So what happens now in Madagascar? The country is at a crossroads. With Rajoelina gone, a transitional government will likely need to be formed. The road ahead will be challenging. They have to address the very issues that sparked the protests in the first place: water, electricity, jobs, and corruption. They'll also need to organize new elections to establish a legitimate, democratically elected government. The international community will be watching closely, and the role of countries like France will be scrutinized every step of the way. Will this be a true turning point for Madagascar, leading to a more prosperous and just society? Or will the old patterns of political instability continue? Only time will tell. This story is a powerful reminder that history is not static. The world order is constantly shifting, and the voices of ordinary people, when united, can bring about extraordinary change. The events in Madagascar are more than just a headline. They're a lesson in modern politics, post-colonial dynamics, and the enduring quest for dignity and a better life. Thanks so much for watching. What do you think about this situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown insightful, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the events shaping our world. See you next time.
Yes, here we are. Hello, Africa, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to Make Africa Great. Finally, the president of Madagascar, Andry Rajoelina, freed out of his country. Madagascar's president, His Excellency Andry Rajoelina, has been evacuated from the country by a French military plane as the protests and the military machine threatened to topple his governance. The evacuation followed an agreement with French President Emmanuel Macron. French authorities said they are not intervening in Madagascar's internal crisis, which has been locked the country since 25th September this year. The unrest began with widespread water and electricity cuts, but has grown into a nationwide movement demanding President Rajoelina's resignation. So you may see that things started slowly. People started by demanding why there's a cut of water and electricity. And finally, they mobilized and said, this president is not serving us, is serving the interest of the West. And to prove this, you see, when protests continue and military and the army join the protests defending the people, what happened? France sent military plane to evacuate the president of Madagascar. This brings me to understand that France has controlling many of our state house. So that's why sometimes we ask ourselves why our leaders are not taking decisive actions. This brings me to understand that within our palace or our state house, those who are surrounding and protecting those state house are foreign powers. So when you mess up, they can remove you from power at any time. Because if things went wrong, how France took the plane, military plane came to Madagascar and evacuated the president. It means there was a French army within Madagascar. And that's why we are saying these military bases are there to serve the interest of the West. So right now, it is people who are remaining in the crisis. President Rajoelina has lost, yes, the power and is no longer president, but his family and himself will stay in France, in Paris, enjoying after looting a lot of resources. So he's going to enjoy in France. So if these leaders are not running away, if we have systems that will leader, if you mess up, you have to remain here in the continent. If you're going to be jailed, it's better to be jailed here. But these leaders, they know very well. They own different passports. When they do bad things, they can run away from this continent. You see? So this is a clear message to us, the people of Africa, citizens, and also to our leaders. To we Africans, this is a message that our leaders are under controls of foreign power. That's why when things went worse, it is very easy for them to be evacuated. But we, the citizens, will remain suffering. Also, to leadership or leaders, this is a sign that if you don't serve the people well, if you serve the interest of the West, time will come when people will go against you. People will remove you from power. And this is what has happened in Madagascar. Right now, President Rajoelina with his family, they are no longer in Madagascar. They flew out of their country. So this is a message that if you don't serve well the people, many of our leaders are being installed and put into power by Western power to save the interest of the West. And that's why you see these military planes are there, military bases are there to serve the interest of the West and to make sure that the interest of the West is running smooth the way those who put those military bases they want. But the time will come when the people say no. And one thing that has shocked me to see President Rajoelina as two passports, has French passport and Burkinabe, and Madagascar passport. So it means he's a citizen of France, at the same time is a president of Madagascar. So we are led by the citizens of France. So always when they do decisions, it's in favor his home country. That means. So how a president owed a French passport and saving a country of Africa, Madagascar. When France say something about Madagascar, can the president refuse? No. And that's why I remember when leaders in Sahel, I mean Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, those leaders, when it came to power, what they did is to remove French military bases because they know that if you continue to own these bases, you'll be controlled. The way we see things happening in Cameroon, right now, Cameroon, President Paul Biya is under the control of France, coming to Cote d'Ivoire. And as I speak to you now, things is not okay in Cote d'Ivoire. People are in the streets protesting, demanding resignation of President Alassane Ouattara. But Ouattara has refused to resign and to end power because it's still being used by France. What France is doing is to use Cote d'Ivoire to destabilize Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. So they still want Ouattara for their own interests. But the time will come when the people of Cote d'Ivoire will say enough is enough. And our leaders must understand that the time will come when these people, of course, you can fool people, but you can't fool all of them. You can fool the people, but you can't fool all of them. The time will come when the new generation will ask difficult questions. And I see the days are numbered for President Ouattara. And if he wants to leave power with respect, let us step down. The same to President Paul Biya of Cameroon. His days is numbered. He wants another 7 years in power. How is it possible? At the age of 92. So he wants to stay in power until 98. 99, of course, 99. So he left 1 year to 1,200 years. So how? But because it's being used by France, because of Amazonia and something like that, that's why they're still being backed by France to stay in power. But the time will come when people say enough is enough. So this is the message to all of us, the people of Africa, to wake up, to say enough is enough. We want Africans to benefit from our natural resources, to benefit from what we have. So you see the wave of changes. Right now, young Africans are asking, how can Africa become poor while Africa is the richest resources continent? We don't understand. This generation don't understand how Africa is the poorest continent while Africa is richest resources continent. How? People don't understand this. So let us be prepared for this question. Young people are asking. These whom we call Generation Z, those who are at 20-something, they have a lot of questions. So, my dear lovely family, brothers and sisters, I have no more to share. Thank you for watching. The aim is to share this powerful message and update from Madagascar, that the president of Madagascar, President Rajoelina, as no longer a president, has flowed out of his country. So, of that, I have no more to share. As I said, please, if you're new, make sure that you like, you share, and also you subscribe to join the big family of Make Africa Great. We're here to share our thoughts, to find the best solution for challenges. If you have something to share with us, please do so through the comment section.
Thank you, Africa, Mama Africa. Oh, yeah. You make Africa great. Thank you, Africa. Thank you, Africa.